Hey guys, how's it going? Connie here, also known as Movie Snapper. Well, we're coming toward the end of September, and there was a reading event by Michael K. Vaughan, known as Cimmerian September, encouraging people to read the works of Robert E. Howard. I listened to 3 short stories of Conan the Barbarian, read by a channel on YouTube known as The Hyborian. I am quite a slow reader, so I decided I'd listen to them instead, have someone else read for me. I listened to The Tower of the Elephant, The Black Colossus, and The Phoenix on the Sword. Now, these are 3 of his earlier works, and right off the bat, I'm going to say they're all awesome, okay? Ranking them in terms of my favorite, Tower of the Elephant, The Black Colossus, and The Phoenix on the Sword. So just to give a quick breakdown on the story of each one. So the Tower of the Elephant sees Conan going to break into this tower, literally known the Tower of the Elephant, though no one knows why it's called that. He meets another thief. They both break in. He fights a giant spider, and he finds something that is the reason for the name. It's basically some really interesting world building to Robert E. Howard's Hyborian age for Conan the Barbarian, and it was something I didn't see coming, and I think that's why I liked it the most. So it had its action. He kills a man at the start. It has them, the dangers of breaking in, fighting the giant spider, finding the reason to the name, uncovering some really interesting truths behind that world with its world building, and confronting the evil sorcerer at the end. It's all his writing style for everything. Robert E. Howard's really punchy, and he can paint a really good picture in a few amount of words. He does repeat himself a lot by, continuously calling Conan, the wild man, the savage man, the barbarian, the bulky man, the hulking man, all that kind of stuff. And it does get to some people when I look into some of the reviews and stuff, but they got paid by the word, so the easiest way to do it was to keep hammering home, how Conan looked and some of the actions he took and stuff like that. So that story, amazing, loved it. So the Black Colossus sees an ancient sorcerer that is revived by a thief breaking into the tomb, and it goes into great detail describing this tomb and how it stood the test of time, and it's perfect no matter what happens with the weather and stuff outside. Dies by a giant snake. Sorry, spoilers, but it's in the first 1,000 words. And so this being comes out. So the kingdom, I already forget the name of the kingdom, I'll pop it up, is basically under pressure from all sides. And the princess that is ruling at the moment is, scared that she's going to lose, control of this kingdom. And she prays to one of the gods of Hyboria, Mitra. And Mitra instructs her to bring in the first man she sees off the street and make him the commander of her army. So she goes out, and it's Conan. And he's drunk and grumpy, and, he's very, not paranoid, but alert when she brings him into the palace, assuming, the worst, that something's going to happen to him. And she makes him the commander of the army. He was already the general of the mercenaries in the army, but he becomes the commander, and of course the other well-known commanders and soldiers of the different parts of the army, so the cavalry and the archers and that, they all get really annoyed because it's a savage barbarian. And you find out that I think it was the Stygian Empire, they have this being called Nartok, black and veiled and powerful and magic. And I don't think it's a spoiler. It's, anyone can guess it straight away. Nartok is the resurrected sorcerer from the beginning. And what I find interesting is this short story. It's only about 13,000 words. This whole battle takes place between the empire and these kingdoms, and a lot of the modern stories would make that, I feel, go for tens of pages, if not well over 100 pages. These events, and Robert E. Howard goes from the start, the middle, describing particular events quite quickly, painting a beautiful picture every time he does. And then the end, where Conan fights Nartok, and bang, it's done. And no time wasted. And it's really, again, punchy. Almost like a bombastic style. It just really hits home every time with the words he chooses, and they're poetic in a way. Which Robert E. Howard is also known to have been a lover and writer of poetry, and that translates quite well in his short stories. And then, so that was my second favorite. And then Phoenix on the Sword, which I think was written earlier than those two. And here, Conan is the king of Aquilonia. And there's actually a lot of dialogue at the start as these conspirators who are unhappy with him being the king are wanting to overthrow him. So it stays with them for a while and describes who they are and where they sit in the kingdom and their plans, and trying to figure that out. And in the end, some person summons a demon as well to go after Conan. And Conan is visited in a dream by a deity, another wizard. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. Sorry, it's all kind of muddled up together. And this person puts the the insignia of a phoenix on the blade of his sword. The whole ending of the story is basically the ambush on Conan, but he was prepared because he knew that they were coming. And the pace of the fight is really good. It's quick, it's snappy. Again, Robert E. Howard's writing style, but it paints the picture perfectly. It almost like a movie. You watch it unfold in your mind as you're reading or listening to it. And yeah, I enjoyed that one as well. Not as much as the other two, but it was still pretty good. It was a little bit shorter, but again, the quality's there. And from what I've read, some of the stories get a bit better as Robert E. Howard, really cemented not just his style, but the world of Conan and these characters and the way he wanted things to be and unfold and stuff like that. And I was completely impressed with these 3 short stories, and I definitely intend to read more of them. Borak sounds really cool. Tim over at Secret Fire Books recently did a review on the Three-Bladed Dupe, and he said it was probably the best book he's read all year. So Jeff over at Jeff's Cave of Cool Books loves Robert E. Howard as well, as does Paul from Geeks Love Dogs. I'm going to figure out a name here somewhere, sorry. And I've been watching the other guys do their videos as well. Nick over at the Book Graveyard focused more on his boxing stories and his westerns. And the general consensus is Robert E. Howard was pretty good. I enjoyed Cimmerian September. Check out Michael K. Vaughan. Check out the other guys I mentioned. Look at Robert E. Howard yourself. And yeah, until next time, enjoy what you're reading and enjoy life. Thank you.